Hey, everybody. We are back. Happy Friday. I know you're like, what? I know you all are supposed to be on Thursday. So things happen. We're flexible over here. It doesn't matter. What I need you to do right now is hit that notification bell and subscribe. Follow me. I am on Instagram, TikTok, across all the streaming platforms. Command.essic. We're also on Facebook at the Speaker Podcast. I am working to build my YouTube channel. Slide over there right now. If you're watching, you need to subscribe. And my Patreon is out there. I'm going to officially do the announcement for that launch going in the next few weeks. And I would love to hear from you. You can shoot me an email at thespeakerpodcast@gmail.com. I'm so excited as we are wrapping up the last live of 2024. This is going to be an amazing, a phenomenal conversation. I'm sitting down with my brother and friend, Noah Love. And if you have not and have not heard of him, you're going to find out tonight. So, Noah, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Camille. Thank you for having me. I'm very, very excited to be here for what I think is but the third time,
Yeah, I just after 2, I stopped counting.
right?
It's like Olive Garden, you hear your family. So, how has everything been? Like, catch us up. I know you've had some things happening this week. Like, what's going on, friend?
Yeah, so um life is lifing. Currently we are in the midst of Art Week, Art Basel here in Miami. That's been the craziness. Again, thank you for being understanding yesterday. Guys, it was not her fault. We rescheduled because of my schedule. But it's been really dope. I also think what's really great, specifically about this week, this is the first time that I've been invited to Art Basel. So
Okay.
like I'm not buying tickets or like seeking things out. It really was great to be invited into these spaces. I think the last time we had spoken, I was back and forth between here in New York. And while still back and forth, I have a residence here now. So I have an apartment here, an apartment in New York. And so just spending a lot of time building, just really intentionally building. So yeah, it's the end of the year has been really intense in good ways.
Hey, because you know why I say December is a building month. I've been saying this. I feel this so strongly just because there's just something resonating in me. There's going to be major doors and opportunities and
Mhm.
coming into the coming year in 2025. And so I've been very adamant doing other things, expanding my digital reach. Me personally, outside of podcasting,
Mhm.
in the last couple months, I released an e-course. I released another ebook, working on another ebook. Yes, that's right. Y'all heard it here first.
Yeah.
Um, absolutely. I'm creating melanin stock elements for digital
Beautiful.
creators. So if you're needing digital content for your website, printable products, things like that. And so I have a whole collection on my website at CamilleEssie.com. I just released another collection within that today. And just as I say, I'm building my arsenal and getting those things ready to go because I think as creatives, sometimes we can hone in on one space and it's like, no, you have to think long term, play the long game, think about long term, long form content. If you have
Mhm.
one thing, how can I break this down and stretch it out and create another product out of the product?
Right.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that is probably the most beautiful thing. I love that you aren't stagnant. When I say stagnant, you aren't simply focusing on one thing. You are allowing yourself to grow. It's something that I had to learn this year. Getting out of that pocket where we succeed, that pocket that we become really comfortable with. Uh, I think to the point of you saying December is a building month, I've used the beginning of this month to really just focus on reevaluating, right? Like
Mhm.
looking at what we've done through the year, what we've been faced up against, and what does the next year look like? What are these next steps that we're going to take? And one, I just love the fact that you are already technically in the marketing space. You may not realize that, but you are like providing these things and creating these digital products. Phenomenal. I'm obsessed with digital products. I echo to my clients often and that is a lifeline to create where things just happen for you.
Mhm.
But yeah, like building and more so being reflective currently right now
Okay.
to really just take stock of what you've achieved, right? Like you're building and you've built a really great platform for other people, and moving forward is a really great sentiment. But I think there's something to be said about just taking stock of what you
Mhm.
have been faced with this year, right? What brought you to this point? What have you been able to do for other people? Really, just in sense of gratitude. So for me, taking inventory and just really realizing I did a good thing. I did a lot of good things this year. And for lack of better wording, if God does nothing else in my life, I am already in abundance. I've had such a beautiful life. I've had a beautiful experience this year in learning and growing and shedding dead skin, new friends, old friends, all those things. I appreciate the sentiment of using December as to build and to expand and really open ourselves to doing new things because that's what living is.
Mhm.
It's enjoyable.
Yes, and let's get into that. So the last time you were here, you were
Mhm,
sharing with us, we were having a discussion about transitioning from just being in the survival mode to thriving. And so where we left off with our previous conversation, those that don't know, just a recap about coming through 2 comas,
mhm,
just dealing with a lot of trauma and to be in the space that you are right now,
mhm.
and that appreciation for life. So just digging more into that, Noah, and just unpacking that, what does that really look like for you since that moment?
Oh, that's gonna be a lot, but I think maybe try to condense things. I think I said it to you before in the last episode. My life essentially fell apart, and when I say fell apart, my self awareness was completely off. The trust in myself had been shattered, but more than anything, the world around me, the external world that I had created, that I had prayed for, that I had worked so hard to get to, I realized that there were fractures in it. Meaning, there were relationships with family and friends, things in my career that ultimately weren't serving me, but I hadn't realized it. Um, you know, I had to go through uh, learning to love myself again and identifying myself outside of my career. I had to work on my relationship with God all over because going through 2 comas back to back, there was a bit of frustration there with Him. The level of dependency that I had on certain people in my life and realizing that that wasn't a safe space anymore. Um, Also, just realizing that I didn't set up my business the proper way. I didn't do the right things to ensure that the business would move with or without me. Um, but then it also allowed things to just be put into perspective, what actually
Mhm,
matters to me, who I was and who I was becoming. And it allowed me to see weaknesses within myself that I could appreciate. And I know that many people don't like to use the word weakness, but I think for me, realizing the weak points in my life, I genuinely was able to lock into where God really was showing out.
mhm.
Those points
So
in which, yeah.
so going into that, and not to cut you off, but you were like you were in a space where you didn't trust him anymore, and then to circle back to say,
Mhm,
"My faith is now restored in God."
mhm.
How did you get to that space?
Oh God. I'll give you the story behind it. It was after the second coma. I was sitting in my bedroom and I contemplated taking my life. And before doing so, before actually taking making the effort to do so, I'd had the moment of I don't understand God why this is happening. I've had a very long, tumultuous life, and quite frankly, this just simply is unfair.
Mhm,
Point blank, this is unfair. I have spent most of my life talking about you and sharing all these great things that you have been and you've done, and yet you let me go through something so traumatic. I called my dad. I cried, and I kind of let it out the frustration that I felt like I deserved peace. I felt like I deserved to have a sense of ease in my life, and to go through this, it makes absolutely no sense. And as I was expressing that to my dad, I realized in the moment that I wasn't frustrated with me and I wasn't frustrated with life. I was frustrated at the fact that I choose daily to have faith in God. And because I am
mm,
choosing that, I felt like I was being made a fool. And while talking to my dad, um, I sat with that and I still felt that way even after hanging up. And it took me a couple of days. How do I say this? It took me a couple of days to come back to this space where I've been praying to God to use me, to use my life. Apologies. To use my life as an example, right? To do what he needed to do in my life for other people. And that doesn't come without its sacrifices.
mhm,
There are people who are watching me, people who saw me go through the first coma and still come out of it, despite how intense it was. They were still, God is good. right? And I
Mhm.
felt it, I believed it. And I know what that did for other people. And then to go through it a second time, it took a second, but I got to the space where I realized that my entire life, I am God is using every aspect of my life. And if He allowed me to go through this, then there was a reason for it. So that was
Mhm.
the starting point. Didn't mean that I still wasn't mad, but I realized, okay, this has to be used for something. Um,
Mhm.
and then that moved into me simply just praying, God, I need you to help me to I need your help restoring my faith. I need your help doing this. And that oftentimes just looked like prayer and worship and letting him know that I do feel left alone. I do feel like you just left me out here for the wolves, so to speak. How could you do this? Um, it also allowed me to realize that faith isn't about this perfect life. Faith is being able to ask those questions to him and knowing that he's going to respond. Faith is, you know, while things are hard right now, sure, are you choosing to look at the hard points or are you looking at the good? You got to this point, right? You
Mhm.
woke up, you had friends standing by your side, you had a home to go to, you had a career to go back to. All of these things is realizing, and also then, okay, what are other people getting out of this?
Yeah.
And it's still being very transparent. It's still a work in progress,
Absolutely.
very much. But um, with the restoration of my faith, I've also learned that the relationship between me and God is between me and God because along for a big part of this process, I was trying to mimic other people's relationships with God
Mm.
because I felt like I wasn't doing it right. Because had I done it right, I wouldn't have ended up in that situation.
Yeah.
Or, if I was going to get the blessings that I thought that I deserved, then I should
Hitting
be
all the checks in the box, like, going down the yes, been
literally
there.
praying the proper way, reading the script, like doing it the right way.
Yeah,
And God
yeah,
do a number on them, like, why are we trying to perfect this? This is a relationship.
yeah.
Why are you trying to perfect it? Just show up. That's it. So yeah.
I understand everything that you said because when I had that same experience, when I tried that twice,
Mhm,
and there was the space of, "Where were you when this happened?" I was, 20 it happened within an 18-month period. So the
mhm,
first time, I was still in college, and then again within a year, both times not successful, and realizing that not realizing how angry I was at God, how upset I was with him, how frustrated. Like you said, where were you during these times?
mhm,
And then just also going through so many back-to-back things throughout my childhood. It was like one thing on top of the other, on top of the other. And I don't think in that moment I really realized what I was doing. I was looking for an escape because I just did not want to feel pain anymore.
yes.
And it
Yes.
wasn't like I was actually wanting to do that. I just wanted the pain to stop.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to feel those feelings anymore. But it
Mhm,
was through that experience that I had to learn we internalizing those things, but I have to give those feelings to God
mhm,
because growing up in church, I felt guilty to tell God, "I'm mad at you." So I feel like if I said that, then
mhm,
I'm wrong.
mhm,
But in a relationship, you do communicate your feelings, and so over time, being honest and saying, "Hey, God, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. This is how I feel right now." And that's where the dialogue opened,
mhm,
and he began to say, "I know how you feel about this." And know what was so wild was the different experiences, even though it was horrible, it was crap.
mhm.
I began to see, even though this happened, it could have been worse.
Yes.
It coulda led to and so that's when I had to shift, even though it sucked, I hated it, XYZ happened, but he showed me, you know, you had to move away from this place because the person in your neighborhood had something else in mind, and
Mhm,
so if even though I know you didn't wanna move, that person so backstory, I was living somewhere, I was 24, 25 years old, and I had a thing about putting lines in my carpet, and
mhm.
I always see boot prints in my carpet. No, the maintenance man was coming in my place when I was at work,
Oh, wow.
going into my bedroom, going into my drawer, picking out certain intimate items,
Mhm,
like that. And so God was showing me, even though you moved, if I had allowed you to stay there,
Mhm.
it would have led to an attack.
Mhm.
And so, but at that moment, I couldn't see that. I was like, I liked being where I was, even though it was my first place. But it was like God was like, no, I had to move you out of this environment because this, and
Mhm.
so things like that, like you don't see it until later on. So I
Right.
totally get it. And here I am now. It's been what, 20 years since that happened. But it's just like we can't see the forest for the trees.
Right.
And God wants our honesty. He wants those things. He wants our faith. And even in my prayer time, it's like, yes, you believe me, but I need you to believe in me. Like we can believe God exists. We know he's existing, but he wants us to believe fully 100% invested in
Yep.
him because
Yep.
that's when he can really show his hand and work. So
Yep. Yep. Yep.
so getting into that space now with your faith and then moving through a creator, thriving in this amazing fashion industry that you're in and having your agency, what are you being a leader in your space, how
Mhm.
are you communicating these messages of faith, hope, resilience, confidence to the associates, your team? Because
Mhm.
we see a lot of toxic energy within the workspaces. So how are you pushing this narrative to create a safe and healthy environment, especially for people like us that are in the fashion world?
Yeah. Um, in truth, there's never an actual intentional thought about having the conversation of faith or talking about the toxicity that is the industry. I think what happens is it organically shows up in my life. And so it
Mhm,
organically shows up in conversations in the way that I lead people or engage with other individuals. A part of I think a great part of my story and my success and my development has been the fact that I am transparent.
mhm.
I don't believe in painting perfect pictures. I don't believe in having it all together. I am a hot mess. I am all the things, okay?
We're all a hot mess.
Right? And I think what has helped in such a great way in my career that people get that. Noah isn't going to show up and try to be everything or have it together, but he's going to share. I'm sharing experiences, right? Specifically with my team and colleagues, when having conversations about building a business or doing something really, really great, I often lean into the fact that God is no man of mistakes. He is not absent-minded when calling you to something. Even if you don't believe in God, you know that something is pulling you, right? And so my thing is always do that thing. Do the thing that your heart is calling you to. I'm notorious for saying God and or the universe. I'm a respecter. I never want to force things on people, but I do bring my belief into all spaces. I believe that people are naturally good. I believe that we all naturally are connected to something higher. And so if it's my job to pull it out of you, then I'm just simply going to encourage you, right? I'm going to love you. My sister asked me today how I met you. And I let her know how the process went when we first met through Mark several years ago, but it organically happened. It was just conversations between Instagram DMs and comments and then text messaging. And it's just a matter of sharing a level of faith. And while faith may be different at different phases of our life, it ultimately is just believing that I deserve more, that I am bigger than this, that what I am doing is going to be so much greater. And I always want people, just in general, creator, professional, whatever, if you wholeheartedly believe in who you are and what the dream is, what you are called to do, then that is naturally going to it is going to advocate for you, but it's also going to preach to people. It is going to reach the audience that you are intended for. Again, I'm never intending on preaching to people or giving motivational speeches or being a father figure or a mentor. It really isn't that. It is just my life has been both really, really great and really, really awful. And during either state of my life, I have chosen to believe I am going to be okay. This is going to work. There's no other way but for this to work. Noah Love and Associates is the mastermind of years of struggle and years of just dreaming and believing that one, I'm here with a purpose. and that I want to change lives. It's
It's
funny
a
to say.
choice, and it's
It
a
is.
choice, like, to live in victimhood and to say, "Oh, this happened to me, this happens." Yes, but at the end of the day, you have to choose victory. Victory is right in front of us, to persevere is right in front of us, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to choose it. And
Mm-hmm.
I've gone through some wild, crazy experiences, but at the end of the day, Noah, I was like deep down, I was like, "God, I know you have more for me. I don't know where it is, but I
Mm-hmm.
know you have more for me."
Yep.
And wherever it is, it like it ca it pulls me, it calls me, and that's the thing, knowing there's more for me.
Yeah.
Can't tell you when, where, what day, but
Mm-hmm.
innately, I feel it so strongly, and even the days that I've thrown in the towel and God has thrown it back and like, "No, go another round," and
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing that, okay, pause, catch your breath, but at the end of the day, I choose to come out of this place of being on survival mode, and that's the transition for me right now is transitioning from that mindset of surviving to this place
Right.
where I'm thriving.
Yes.
So what has that looked like for you?
I think thriving was or is a mindset.
Mhm.
I remember the first time I came across the saying, "I'm no longer surviving, I'm thriving," and it was because it was a decision. To your point, it was a decision of waking up one day and realizing I'm no longer having to fight. Like fighting, while it can be a great thing at some point, you eventually have to decide: Am I in this moment having the best experience possible? Am I at peace? Am I in love with the person that I am with? Are my friends great? Thriving is understanding that I'm doing the things that I'm called to do, that I am in love with. I am making every effort to be a good person. I am doing my absolute best. And where I fall short, there are outlets to assist me. There is my faith. There are my brothers, my sisters, my father, my mother, my therapist, my doctor, my dentist, my accountant. I'm taking the steps to ensure that I am participating in my life. And thriving is just that. Thriving is knowing that I'm making every possible decision in the right direction. And once you adopt that, the decisions that we need to make become easier. I think I shared with you the last episode that I was on. I committed to $1 million year. And it
Mhm.
wasn't so much about the dollar, it was the mindset. Bless you. It was
Thank
the
you.
mindset and the behavior that goes along with what a millionaire is, what my lifestyle is, how I take care of myself, how do I interact with my colleagues, my employees, my contractors, the kind of work that I'm actually doing, the books that I am reading, how I am working my body out. Like that mentality shifts. And so that can be an example of going from surviving to thriving. Because now I'm not waiting to receive $1 million to live the $1 million lifestyle. Today I'm going to live it. I'm going to eat good because I need to, because my body deserves it. I'm going to work out because my body deserves it. I'm going to read because I constantly want to learn. Thriving is this act of greatness.
I
To
like
thrive
that. Say that
is
again.
thriving is an act of greatness. Like it is participation. You are doing the great things now. Like, sure, you can't go out and buy a Lamborghini, but you can look at a Lamborghini and admire it and appreciate it. It's no longer out of reach, but you love the color, you like the model. Um, for me, having two apartments, it wasn't because I was financially in a place to have them, but I committed to a plan. I committed to being present for family. I committed to expanding my business. And so I made decisions that allowed me to thrive. So with that comes obligation, sure, but we have the opportunity to rise to the occasion or falter,
I like that, decisions allowing me to thrive. That's a bar.
right? And it's something that I'm constantly learning. And while it's uncomfortable, and my brother, Genesis, he said something to me a couple months ago, and I was like, I could punch you in your face because that's so stupid. But it's true. God, what does he say? If you haven't created the need, then God doesn't need to supply it in some way. Like,
Oh,
if the need isn't there, then why? Like, you get it? Like,
you
so
wait a minute.
right,
Stop.
right,
That's another
right.
bar.
When
Can
he
you
first said it to me and my baby brother, we both became like, "What? That sounds very irresponsible." But it's
when
true.
you don't need it? Say that one more time.
If you haven't created the need, then God doesn't have a reason to supply it. The need is not there, there's nothing to be met. God tells us he will meet our needs.
Yeah. So God is an artist, and I always say it's like he loves to perform, but you gotta give him the stage to show out on.
Like, and we hear these things in so many different ways. And so to hear from my brother that way,
That's
while also
powerful.
understanding that if I want these things, I have to walk and believe that he's going to do it. So I have to give him the space to do it. I also started saying this year, with expanding my faith, is forcing myself in spaces where I literally have to depend on God.
Mm.
So yeah,
Say that one again. Wait, Noah, you're hot right now.
it's putting yourself in spaces where you have to depend on God. Where
Wow.
literally you can't do anything. So it's going to require a miracle. It's going to require magic. It's going to require the impossible. And I've spent the last 6 months in a space where, okay, God, because I don't know. Like truly,
'Cause
genuinely.
we do it safe because we like something that is predictable, we like what is, familiar,
Mhm,
it's safe, we can put it in a box,
mhm.
but we have to, like you said, step out there
Yeah,
and create the environment for him to perform.
yeah. It's leaping. It's taking the leap of faith. It's saying yes to the new job. It's saying yes to the vacation. It's saying yes to the additional apartment. It's saying yes to the dog. It's what I am learning, and actively in this moment, I am learning it. And as I'm about to say this, I am realizing that I can't be so hesitant to have these dreams and have these desires and simultaneously feel like I'm not worthy of them. God don't work that way. You want it? Great, wonderful. Decision made? Yes, got it. Leave it to God. Do my part. Show up.
Show
Look
up.
for the things. But it's like, God, I trust you. I know. And it's more than just trusting, it's believing it.
Going back to what he said to me in prayer, "I know you believe me, but I need you to believe in me." There's another level my pastor says all the time, he wants another yes, and for the longest, I did not understand that, but with each level, becau you have to give God another yes for each level.
It's
This
another
door
yes,
right here
new yes.
yes, you have to give him a yes for this level, and it's like gamification. Once you've surpassed that level, the next level, you have to say yes to God again because it's the heart posture.
That gave me chills because you just got me together. That literally, I'm
That
like,
wasn't me, that was Pastor Mark. Shout out to Pastor
listen,
Mark. But yes,
because
and so for the longest, I was like, "What does that mean?" And the
mhm,
more I began to hear it, that, no, I began to get the revelation on it. With each level, you have to say yes all over again because each level, um, there's more that's required. And
yeah,
so with more, requirement, you need more faith, you need more of God, and so you have to say yes because you have to give him more room to perform because the space is bigger.
yes.
Friend.
I'm sitting with it as you said it, and it hasn't dawned on me, but the renewal of the yes,
The
the
renewal of the yes.
renewal of the yes. Like we said yes to this thing, and it was hard, and now we're in it, not realizing, okay, next level. Wait, I'm sorry. What do you mean? We gotta do X, Y. But I'm not in this moment. In this moment, I am being held accountable because I've not given that new yes.
But he's
I,
gonna pull it out of you, and that's the thing. You can give it to him or he can take it, but one way or another, he's gonna get
He's
the yes.
gonna get it. He will get it. That was good. That's good. But yeah, that's my exercise of thriving as well, and also really genuinely learning. While sharing this with you, I'm not gonna lie, it's very difficult because you want to do the responsible thing, right? You don't want to put yourself in spaces where you're gonna be made a fool or fail in public. Um, But I'm also learning with that, it's kind of like to think that way is as if you're planning for it to happen. Why not go the opposite way? I'm gonna do this and it's gonna blow up. Like I think there's like a clip of Oprah sitting with the interview, and the guy was like, "Well, what if it doesn't fail? What if it fails?" And Oprah says, "But what if it doesn't?
What if it doesn't?
What if it doesn't? But what if it
What if
fails?
it
What if
doesn't?
it doesn't?" And if we choose to lean into the what if it doesn't, what if it does actually work? What if
What
it
if
actually,
it yeah.
you know? So Um, it's it's one of those things that I genuinely, one, I pray that more of us get a handle of, but I also pray that God uses my life to show out in that way when people see like it really is a decision to wake up and realize, you know what? I'm gonna do some great stuff today. I'm gonna do these great things because I know that God has purposed me. The universe has purposed me. Whatever you believe in, you are purposed to be bigger than life. I said it to this young man last night at a Art Basel event. Whatever it is you do today, go big.
Go big.
Go big. If you're gonna do it, do it. Give it everything because that's the investment.
Go
That's the
big.
return. We're gonna get the return in which we give. God is being very clear. You wanted it. You giving me only 4 hours of work today. I'm gonna give you 4 hours of results.
Ab
Go. What's that word? Go for broke.
Go for broke. Listen,
Well,
I love to say
go
that.
for broke. Okay, go for broke. But yeah,
This has been such a great conversation, and I know for sure I chose the right person to wrap everything up with. I definitely want to bring you back to continue this conversation.
always.
Y'all, I know y'all like, oh, what? No, look, Noah has to go. He has a tight schedule, and so
Very.
we're trying to be a respecter of time. But before we wrap things up, Noah, for the listeners and viewers, until you return, because you are returning. Um, Do you have like any nuggets or gems, just points of wisdom, just to leave with the listeners and viewers until you come back? Also, what's coming up for you, and then where people can reach you on social media.
Sure. So I'll start with how you can reach me. I am Noah Love on all platforms. Uh, Literally, or noahloveassociates.com. What's coming up? In truth, I'm just working, returning with my podcast in 2025.
Oh,
A
bring
full
me on. I want
rebrand.
to come.
Very excited. You are literally on my hit list. I am rebranding the I Am Noah Love online to This Is Noah. It is a rebirth of who I am and me walking and essentially just kind of leaning into my truth over what has been the last 3 years from being in a coma, graduating, writing a book, all of these things I want to share. And I want to share, honestly, the epicenter of it. And it really has just been relearning and loving who I am as a person. It's having to really be my own friend and accept me wholeheartedly. Um, and then if I was to leave something as far as a nugget, I think something that I'm realizing and I'm learning as we close 2024 is never be apologetic about your passion. Never be apologetic of how passionate you are about something. Never be apologetic about who you are as an individual and where you stand. You can simultaneously be passionate and be convicted about something while still learning. You can be passionate and stand ground while still learning. And so, anyone that's listening to this, anyone that will listen to this, continuously learn, but hold your ground. Trust your instinct, trust who you are as a person, trust what life has done for you and to you up until this point. And allow that to be a roadmap, and you won't go wrong. But yeah,
Awesome. This has been such a good conversation. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down and talk with me.
always, I love you so much.
I
I'm
love you
officially
too.
Camille's favorite. I just want everyone who listens to this episode to know that I'm officially her favorite.
You gonna get me beat up? Oh my god. We're gonna be politically correct and say I love everybody.
Yes,
with the
sure.
with the wing. Yes, absolutely. But I hope everyone got something from this. Happy holidays to you all. I hope that you all have a safe holiday season. I may pop up on a live or two, just individual here or there, but this is officially the last live interview of 2024. It's been an amazing year, and I had to close it out with the Noah Love. If you have not done so, be sure to follow him across all media platforms. You all be blessed, be safe, sit tight, Noah. Just and yeah, see you on the next one. Be blessed. Bye.